She stood by the roadside, hands cuffed behind her back, as police body cams and bystanders' phones caught every moment. The officers weren't convinced she was who she claimed to be until two black SUVs rolled up, and everything they thought they understood was suddenly flipped upside down. The sun hung low, just barely above the horizon, when Officer Ryan Donnelly flicked on his turn signal and pulled in behind a black SUV. He'd spotted the vehicle back at the corner of King Street and Broadmoor in Reston, Virginia. A broken tail light, nothing serious. His plan was simple: write a warning and be on his way. He rubbed a tired hand across his face and stepped out of his cruiser. "Evening," he said, walking toward the driver's side. The window slid halfway down, revealing a calm black woman inside. She looked to be in her late 30s, slim, with chin-length box braids. She wore a dark blue blazer. No music, no movement, just quiet stillness. "License and registration, please." She handed over a small leather wallet without pause. "Your name, ma'am?" "Talia Monroe." Ryan opened the ID and froze. It looked official, but not like anything he'd seen before. There was her photo, a government seal, and a string of letters he couldn't identify. The badge number suggested a federal agency, but none came to mind. Homeland Security? Secret Service? He'd been a cop for 10 years. This felt off. "Is this some kind of joke?" he mumbled under his breath. Talia stayed calm. "It's real." "What agency?" "It doesn't say FBI or CIA. I'm not allowed to tell you that." Ryan squinted at her. "Is this a fake ID? Giving me fake credentials is a felony, right?" "It's not fake," she said, her voice steady. He went back to his car and called dispatch. "Got a woman in a black SUV, claims federal ID, but it's not standard. I need backup." Less than 5 minutes later, another squad car pulled in behind his. Two younger officers got out, rookies, probably just a couple of years in. They stayed back as Ryan returned to the vehicle. "Ma'am, I need you to step out of the car." Talia sighed, unbuckled her seatbelt, and stepped out. No fight, no complaints. One of the rookies moved toward her. "I'm going to have to cuff you for now," he said, his voice a bit shaky. "Until we verify who you are." "You're making a mistake," she replied. "You can explain that at the station." People on the sidewalk began slowing down. A few took out their phones. "Is she being arrested?" one woman whispered. A man nearby started recording. Talia didn't resist. She calmly turned and let the cuffs lock around her wrists. Her blazer shifted, and Ryan noticed a small earpiece in her right ear, barely visible. He didn't say anything. She was too calm. That unsettled him more than if she had shouted. What he hadn't seen yet was the smartwatch on her left wrist. She had tilted it just right before getting out of the car, whispering something too quiet for anyone to catch. She now stood with her hands behind her back, the cuffs tight enough to leave a mark. The three officers formed a triangle around her. One rocked nervously on his feet. Another kept fiddling with his radio like he was waiting for orders. Ryan just stared at her. "You live around here?" he asked. "I was just passing through," she said. "Where were you headed?" "Back home." "Where's home?" She looked him in the eyes. "I think you already know I can't answer that." Ryan stepped closer. "Being mysterious isn't helping. Right now, all I see is a woman with no confirmed ID who won't answer simple questions. You have everything you need. You just don't realize it yet." That annoyed him, not just her words, but the calm, sure way she said them. Most people caught lying got nervous, shaky, sweaty, but not her. She didn't even glance at the phones filming her. A teenager in a red hoodie shouted, "Yo, you really cuffing her for a busted light? She didn't even do anything." "Step back," one of the rookies warned, but the crowd didn't move. 5 people, then 8. A guy on a bike stopped to watch. Phones were out, cameras pointed. Talia stayed silent, didn't move. Ryan tapped his radio. "Dispatch, any update on that ID?" Static. Then, "Still checking." Nothing in the system. He clenched his jaw and pulled one of the rookies aside. "Did you search her?" "Not yet." "Do it. As the rookie stepped forward, Talia finally said something different. "I wouldn't do that." "Why not?" She turned her head slightly. "Because if you touch me, you might trigger something you can't undo." The rookie froze. "Is that a threat?" "Number, it's a warning." And that's when they heard it, tires screeching against the pavement. 2 black SUVs sped toward them. No lights, no sirens, just the sharp sound of rubber burning asphalt. They stopped half a block away. Doors flew open. 4 men in suits stepped out, moving like they'd done this 100 times. The tallest one held up a badge. "Federal Protective Service. That woman is in our custody. Release her now." Ryan stepped forward. "I don't care who you are. We haven't confirmed her identity. Until we do, she stays here." The tall man stepped in, his voice low and serious. "You're 1 step away from a major federal incident. I suggest you let her go," one of the suited men said calmly, "before this turns into something much bigger." He leaned in and whispered something to the rookie standing behind Talia. Whatever was said caused the young officer's shoulders to drop like dead weight. His face went pale, and he looked over at Ryan, wide-eyed, but stayed silent. Ryan could feel the energy shift. This wasn't some prank. These men weren't just pretending to be federal agents. They were the real deal. He recognized the badge, the same one he'd seen during a high-level training years ago. Rare, secret, not something handed out lightly. The man who had whispered turned to Talia. "You okay, Agent Monroe?" She gave a small nod. He reached into his coat and pulled out a thick device. Looked like a phone, but bulkier. He held it close to her ID. The screen lit up green. A sharp beep sounded. "Confirmed," he said. Ryan blinked, confused. "Confirmed?" "What agency are you people with?" The tall man gave him a look. "She works for people who don't hand out business cards." But just as one mystery started to clear, another one opened up, because someone in the crowd wasn't there just to watch. Someone had been waiting for Talia to slip. Her wrists were still cuffed, but she looked completely calm. Not because she wasn't afraid, but because she'd clearly been through this before. She carried the kind of stillness that made everyone else uneasy. The agent who scanned her gave a quiet nod. The rookie behind her, hands trembling slightly, stepped forward and unlocked the cuffs. Talia rubbed her wrists, flexed her fingers. No outburst, no anger, just quiet. Ryan stepped back, trying to gather himself. "You can't just walk in and override a legal stop like this." The tall agent now had his badge clipped clearly on his lapel. He walked right up to Ryan and lowered his voice. "Officer Donnelly, your stop almost blew open a major national security operation. Agent Monroe has been undercover for over a year, chasing something that's way beyond your clearance. You just pulled her out in front of civilians." Ryan had no reply. His radio crackled. For a moment, he hoped it might give him an excuse to walk away. "Dispatch here. Still no match on that ID. Wait, hold on. Scratch that. We're getting a hit. Secure channel. Stand by." Too late. Talia walked past the officers and toward the man who had called her Agent Monroe. They spoke softly, like they were checking in. Like this situation, this exact failure, had already been planned for. The agent glanced back at her SUV. "Did anyone touch the vehicle?" "Just me," Ryan said. "Don't touch it again." Another agent moved to the back of the SUV, popped the trunk, and lifted the floor panel. Hidden inside was a hard case, not big, about the size of a large book. He opened it. Inside were wires, labels, and compartments. Clearly, this wasn't standard gear. "She was transporting—" Ryan started to ask, but didn't finish. "That's classified," Talia said. "Everything's classified with you people," Ryan muttered. She paused, looking him over. "That's because sometimes the people you trust are the ones selling you out." That hit him hard. His body stiffened. Before he could speak, someone in the crowd shouted, "Yo, what is this?" She CIA or something? The agents turned toward the growing group of onlookers. The crowd had doubled. Cameras still pointed their way. "Please stop filming," one agent said firmly. "Why?" asked the girl in the red hoodie. "So you can cover it up?" Talia stepped forward. She didn't raise her voice or threaten anyone. She just looked at the crowd and said, "You have every right to film. Just understand, what happened here tonight won't stay quiet for long, and not everything you see is as simple as it looks." Then her whole expression shifted. She turned slightly, scanning the faces in the crowd. Her eyes stopped on someone at the edge, a man in a baseball cap and zipped-up hoodie. No phone in hand, no reaction, just still, watching. Talia's voice dropped. "Target acquired," she whispered into her smartwatch. The agent spun in the direction she was looking. The man realized too late. He turned and ran. One of the agents took off after him. Ryan, caught off guard, stepped forward. "Who the hell was that?" "Someone who shouldn't have known I was in town," Talia answered. The crowd parted as the man in the hoodie disappeared into a nearby alley. The chasing agent pulled out something from inside his coat, some sort of launcher. He fired once. A soft pop echoed off the brick walls. Then silence. Seconds later, the agent returned with the man, now cuffed and limping. Blood on his sleeve. His hoodie had slipped just enough to reveal a thin wire running under his shirt. "Tracker?" the agent confirmed. "Not a mic." Talia let out a sharp breath. "They were watching for me. That stop, it wasn't random. They lured me onto this street." Ryan stared at her, shocked. "You're saying someone inside fed your route to them?" Talia didn't answer directly. She just glanced at the rookie, the same one who had cuffed her earlier, then let her eyes drift to the radio on his belt. She didn't say a word, but doubt flashed in her gaze. If her route had been leaked, that meant someone inside the precinct hadn't just made a mistake. They were working against her, and Talia wasn't the type to let that slide. The precinct on Ashburn Road was quiet when she walked in later that night. Not silent, but too quiet for what should have been a busy shift. The SUVs and agents were gone now. The captured man was in a secure holding facility out of town. Talia had asked for one thing, to be alone at the precinct. No more cuffs, no suits watching her, just her blazer, her badge, and her mission. The front desk officer looked up as she entered, surprised. "Can I help you, ma'am?" She didn't stop walking. She flashed a laminated card. "Internal audit. Secure the floor. I'm not here for show." Within minutes, word spread. Officer Ryan Donnelly sat in the break room, halfway through a burrito, when a fellow officer stepped in. "She's here." Ryan blinked. "Who, Monroe?" "She walked in like she owns the place. Says she's running an audit. Command told us to cooperate." Ryan dropped the burrito in the hallway and hurried after her. Talia moved like she knew the place. Not this exact building, but the type. Small-town stations where gaps in protocol turned into sinkholes. She'd worked in dozens. She found what she was looking for, the internal server room. Locked, but not to her. She pulled a keycard from her coat. The reader flashed green. The door clicked open. Inside, she moved fast, plugging in a drive, pulling logs. She wasn't here to punish. She was here to trace. Out in the hall, Ryan caught up. "You just walk in like you run the place now?" he asked. "I don't have time to explain the entire chain of command to you," she said, without slowing down. He stepped in front of her. "I deserve to know what's going on." She stopped, looked him straight in the eye. "You nearly blew a national security op. You want me to send you a memo?" "That's not fair. I was doing my job." "Number, you were doing what you thought your job was. That's not the same thing." They stood there, tension between them, until she added quietly, "When I gave you my ID, you didn't question it because it didn't scan. You didn't even quote protocol. You just assumed someone like me couldn't carry a badge like that." Ryan opened his mouth to respond, but nothing came out. Talia turned. "I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to find the leak." She took one step before someone else appeared at the end of the hall. Deputy Chase Lawn, late 30s, stocky building, bald. His uniform was too crisp for the late shift. His eyes landed on her and instantly turned cold. "Well, well," he said, "the ghost shows her face." Ryan looked between them. "You two know each other?" Talia didn't blink. "We worked together once, overseas, brief assignment." "Until she vanished mid-mission," Chase added, smirking. "You disappeared," she shot back. "Took a phone full of encrypted contacts, left 3 bodies behind. My version is the only one that got reported." Ryan stiffened. "Wait, he was CIA?" "Not anymore," Talia said flatly. Chase's eyes dropped to her wrist. "Still wearing that watch? That trick still work?" "You'd be surprised how little has changed," she said. He stepped closer. "So what now? You gonna play hero in my station?" "I'm not here for drama. I came for one thing." She reached into her coat and pulled out a recorder. Hit play. A voice came through, hers, but clipped, distorted. "She leaves the drop point by 7:10, always takes the same route. I can guarantee it." Ryan's stomach dropped. Chase didn't even blink. "I traced the signal this morning," Talia said, voice cold. "You've been leaking intel to foreign contacts for months." "You gave them my location. You tried to finish what you started overseas." Chase laughed, just once, then lunged at her. Ryan moved fast. He tackled Chase into the wall. Chairs crashed to the floor. Talia didn't panic. She stepped forward and calmly raised her badge. "Chase Lawn, you're under arrest for treason, unauthorized foreign collaboration, and obstruction of a federal investigation." Chase kept struggling, swearing, kicking. 2 officers rushed in and pinned him down. He screamed threats. He cursed her name. Talia didn't even flinch. This wasn't the end of the story. It was just the next piece falling into place. The holding cell door slammed shut behind Chase Lawn with a metallic finality that felt personal. Talia stood just outside the bars, arms folded, eyes sharp. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Chase had already started pacing, trying to reclaim some kind of control with his voice now that everything else was gone. "You think this ends with me?" he snarled. "You think you've won something?" Talia tilted her head slightly. "You're not the end game, Chase. You were just the decoy." That stopped him. "So what's that supposed to mean?" She took a slow step forward. "The man in the hoodie tonight? He wasn't waiting by accident. He was placed. You fed my route to someone, and they sent him to intercept me. But he didn't recognize me because you gave him an old photo. From before I cut my hair." Her voice was even, clinical. "And that tells me something important. You don't know who's really pulling the strings." For the first time, Chase looked rattled. "You've always been good at betrayal," she continued. "But you've never been a main player. You're a tool, and you just proved it." He let out a bark of laughter, but it was hollow, forced. "You think you've got the thread. You don't even have the needle." Talia didn't respond. She just turned and walked away. Outside the cell block, Ryan was waiting. His posture had changed, shoulders lower, jaw tight. He looked like someone who'd just heard more than he wanted to. "So he was one of yours?" he asked quietly. "No," she said. "He was one of theirs, pretending to be one of mine." Ryan nodded slowly. "Then how'd he slip through? Shouldn't his ID have raised flags?" "You'd be surprised," Talia said. "A clean badge and a few months of silence can hide a lot. Chase disappeared just long enough to make us believe he was buried or dead. Turns out he'd just switched sides." Ryan rubbed his forehead. "So, what now?" "We keep going." Back in the evidence room, Talia opened the small case from her SUV, the one the agents had found earlier. This time, she let Ryan see. Inside were photos, maps, coordinates, surveillance stills, audio files, some in languages Ryan didn't recognize, and one face that appeared in every folder. She tapped the image. "That's who I was tracking tonight. Codename Ashia. Real name unknown. Freelance operator. Has worked for at least 6 different hostile entities." Ryan studied the grainy photo. "What does he move?" "People, weapons, information. Depends who's paying." "So, Why's he in Reston? That's the question, she said. He doesn't spend time in small towns without a reason. Someone gave him one. You think Chase brought him in? Number Chase doesn't have the reach or the intelligence to arrange that. But someone used him to bait me into an arrest, hoping I'd get flagged or pulled off assignment. Ryan frowned. And what if the arrest had gone sideways? Talia looked at him squarely. Then you'd be at the center of an international incident, and I'd probably be dead. The words hung in the room, heavy, still. Finally, Ryan asked, "What do you need from me?" Talia raised an eyebrow. That's a shift. "I didn't know," he said. "About Chase. About you. I made assumptions." She studied his face for a long moment. "You sure you're ready to see what helping me actually looks like?" "Try me." Talia nodded once. "Then let's start with surveillance. If Ashir was nearby, he's probably on traffic cams. I need access." Without another word, Ryan turned and left. Talia tapped her smartwatch. A voice crackled in her earpiece. It was the agent who'd chased the man in the hoodie. "We pulled his phone," the agent said. "Encrypted messages and photos of your SUV, taken an hour before the stop." Her jaw clenched. "They were tracking me long before tonight." "Looks that way." "Keep digging," she said. Then ended the call. She locked the case again. But she already knew if someone had eyes on her before she hit that intersection. This operation wasn't just compromised, it was bleeding from the inside. An hour later, she sat alone in the precinct's evidence room. The overhead light buzzed faintly. Her fingers moved fast across a secure government laptop, streaming surveillance feeds, running facial recognition overlays, parsing GPS timestamps. This was her arena. And what she found made her stomach knot. Ashir had been nearby, parked across the street from a middle school. Engine off, windows up. 43 minutes, long enough to watch school pickup, long enough to time police patrols, long enough to plan. She zoomed in on the car's license plate. Stolen? Not surprising. What was surprising was the second man who appeared in the feed, 20 minutes in. Blurry, unidentifiable. He walked up to Ashir's window, handed him an envelope. Just then, Ryan stepped in, holding a flash drive. "I pulled the rest of the traffic footage. He circled your stop twice before the arrest." Talia took the drive without looking up. She tilted her screen toward him. "You recognize this guy?" Ryan leaned in. "Hard to say. Wait, yeah, that's—" His voice cut off, his jaw clenched. "You know him?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "That's Arthur Vexley, city planner for Fairfax. He's got clearance for traffic systems, public schematics. He was on a Homeland Security liaison committee a couple years ago. Never struck me as dirty." "He's not," Talia said. "He's either compromised or being used." Ryan sat across from her. "So this guy's here. What's his deal?" He didn't act like a terrorist, more like a courier, paid to move secrets across borders through digital dead zones. No ideology, just contracts. And if he was here, in a city like this, working with a guy like Vexley, that meant someone was prepping for a transfer. Ryan leaned back. "What kind of transfer?" "The kind that didn't involve cash or goods. The kind that dealt in data, people, secrets." She pulled up a map on her screen. Public buildings, a data center, a federal courthouse, a communications hub. All under Vexley's watch. All had power testing delays last week. All used the same contractor, Thermax Solutions. Ryan frowned. "That's a federal contractor. We use them for traffic sensors." "Exactly." Which meant if you hacked one Thermax system, you could jump into multiple departments, even law enforcement. "That's how Chase knew your route." Talia nodded. "That's the link. It wasn't just Chase feeding intel. Someone inside the city's systems set me up. The arrest was bait and cover for the real transfer." She checked the time. "And it's happening in the next 2 hours, guaranteed." Ryan stood. "Where do we go?" "You don't. Not officially. This is still outside your jurisdiction." but she needed access to the city's maintenance tunnels. Bexley had clearance, meaning blind spots only he knew. Ryan rubbed his neck. "You sure you want to go in alone?" Talia gave him a dry look. "That's the job." Before he could answer, her phone buzzed. The agent from earlier. "We've got eyes on Asher. He just left a hardware warehouse on Knox Boulevard, carrying something small, heading toward the courthouse district." Talia shut the laptop. "That's it. That's the transfer." Ryan blocked the door. "I'm coming with you." "I don't need backup." "I'm not backup. I'm a witness. Whatever happens next, I'm not letting this department stay blind." Talia studied him, then tossed him a small pouch. "Vest's in there. You'll need it." But as they got ready, neither knew how deep this went, or how close they were to someone who'd kill to keep a secret buried. Midnight. The old maintenance tunnel off Frying Pan Road, a forgotten Cold War relic, ignored by the city. The air smelled of rust and damp concrete. Their footsteps echoed, louder than silence. Talia led, her collar flashlight cutting through the dark. "Watch the corners." Asher moves quiet. Ryan stayed close, breathing steady but sharp, not just nervous, trying to match her pace, prove he could handle it. 50 yards in, they hit a junction, and there he was. Asher, mid-40s, olive skin, light stubble, leather jacket half-zipped, a slim silver case in his left hand. "You're early," he said. Talia didn't blink. "You're sloppy." Asher smirked. "You were always good with words, better with guns. You carrying tonight?" Ryan glanced at her. She didn't answer. "I want the case," she said, stepping forward. Asher raised an eyebrow. "You think I came all this way to hand it over?" "You came all this way to live. Those are two different things." Behind them, footsteps echoed, a storm grate closing. Talia tilted her head. "You bring someone?" Asher shrugged. "Just the broker. He doesn't like being seen." "Then he shouldn't be in this business." A voice cut through the dark. "You've already lost, Monroe." Ryan turned. "Arthur Vexley?" Stepped into view, sweating, gun in hand. "I used to admire your work. You stayed invisible longer than anyone I ever tracked." Talia didn't flinch. "And now you're standing in a drainpipe with a stolen gun and a mouthful of excuses." "I'm standing in the future. You're trying to protect a machine that's already broken." Asher's hand hovered near the case latch. Talia saw it. "No," she snapped. "You open that case, I end you right here." Ryan raised his gun. Vexley laughed. "You think this ends in gunfire?" "Number, this ends in silence. Your file buried under 10 layers of red tape." "You leaked agent movements to foreign networks," Talia shot back. "That case isn't data, it's access codes. If it gets out, 6 agents go dark by sunrise." A flicker in Asher's eyes. He hadn't known. "They lied to you," Talia said. "You're not carrying money, you're carrying names. You think they'll let you walk after this?" Asher's jaw clenched. "I want the case," she repeated. "Or I leak the alley footage tonight. Your face, your contact, your car." Vexley tensed. "She's bluffing." "No," Asher said quietly. "She isn't." In one move, he slammed the case into Vexley's ribs. The man crumpled, gun clattering. Talia lunged, grabbed the case, kicked the weapon away. Asher raised his hands. "I never agreed to kill anyone. They told me it was clean, paper only." Talia stared. "You just chose survival? That doesn't make you innocent." He nodded. "But I'm not your enemy." She didn't answer, just turned to Ryan. "Call it in." Ryan radioed, voice tight, giving their location. His eyes darted between Asher and Vexley, groaning on the ground. Talia stood still, gripping the case. Then, softly, "You know the worst part? This wasn't supposed to happen here. Quiet, clean. Now a city's going to burn with questions it's not ready to answer." By dawn, the courthouse district was locked down. Press hadn't caught on, yet. In a secure briefing room, Talia faced 2 officials. "You broke protocol," one said. "Went rogue, worked with an unvetted cop." She leaned forward. "I also stopped a data leak, neutralized 2 threats, and saved 6 agents. The second official cleared his throat. We reviewed the footage. You were right. Outside, Ryan waited by a vending machine, sipping bad coffee. When she stepped out, he gave a tired smile. They read you the riot act? They tried. So, what now? Now they'll bury it. Chase gets scrubbed. Vexley resigns. Asher disappears into custody. By noon, it'll be like it never happened. And you? Gone. My face is burned here. Ryan exhaled. I'm sorry. For what? For the stop. For not seeing the weight you carry. She held his gaze. You made a bad call, but you didn't double down. That's what counts. Epilogue. Talia's SUV rolled down back roads, no GPS. A new mission waited. Ryan's question echoed. Does this ever get easier? She whispered to the empty car. No, but you stop expecting it to. At a rest stop, a clerk almost recognized her. Didn't matter. Her phone buzzed. A news alert. Reston PD appoints new federal liaison. A photo of Ryan, badge clipped differently now. Less show, more responsibility. She almost smiled. Somewhere, a teen's video of her arrest was still up. Debates raged, but the real story? It wouldn't make headlines. Justice didn't always come with fanfare. Sometimes it was just a cop pausing before drawing his gun. A second thought. A life saved. Talia merged onto the highway. Next city, next fight, ready.